Welcome. It's 7 o'clock. We're going to start to our House Candidate 99 Forum. Super excited. The East Cooper Democrats and the Charleston County Democrat Party are excited to host this forum with our candidates, Donna Brown Newton and Jen Gibson. And we want to thank them for joining us so that you all could hear more from them. I am Kelly Gorby, and I serve on your East Cooper Democrat leadership team, and I'll be joined tonight by Honor McGill in the moderating forum. Do want to quickly remind everyone that if you do want to absentee vote, please go to votebluesc.org. It is a great resource for you. So votebluesc, I think it's .org, for absentee voting. So a little about our format. Our candidates will have 2 minutes each for the opening statement, and then for each question that we have, they'll have 2 minutes to answer, and then a 2-minute closing. And we're going to rotate. One candidate will start, and then on the next one, the next candidate will start. So that way they each have a turn to be first. So unless I'm forgetting anything, without further ado, we will start in alphabetical order. So that will be Donna Brown Newton, starting with a 2-minute opening statement. Donna.
Hi, good evening. I'm Donna Brown Newton. I'm running for state house number 99. I know I'm not your typical candidate. I'm a mother, a grandmother, and a lifetime resident of the Snelling community. I work a full-time job as administrative assistant for Charleston County School District, where I've been employed for over 25 years. I believe in working hard to get things accomplished, no matter what the size of the task. I always give 100%. Growing up with a single mother and 8 siblings, I know the value of affordable health care, because families' biggest concern shouldn't be the bill when taking a child to the doctor. As a mother of a child with autism, a free, equal, and public education is crucial for all students in South Carolina, no matter what the zip code is. A fair and living wage for workers should be a given. Each household should not have to work 2 and 3 jobs just to make ends meet. I am here as somebody who's concerned about the community that I've lived in all my life, and I am just out here trying to do the best I can, be able to speak for the people in this time of need right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Trying to read. All right, Jen Gibson, your turn.
Okay, hi, my name is Jen Gibson. I am running for South Carolina House District 99. I ran for the seat in 2018, and I'm really excited to run for it again. So I'd love to share with you a little bit about why I'm running for the seat. I'm running because our government needs to work for the people of South Carolina. For too long, the House has catered to the interest of select businesses willing to pay to play at the expense of people in our district. I was the first person in my family to graduate from high school. So I know firsthand how hard work, creative solutions, and smart government can grow our economy and provide a better future for all of us in South Carolina. My campaign is about providing a plan to the people of District 99 with real, affordable solutions to traffic congestion, poor infrastructure, underfunded schools, and prohibitively expensive healthcare. I appreciate you taking the time to vote in this unprecedented, dangerous time of COVID-19, and encourage you to try to absentee vote by mail if you can. And thank you very much for doing your patriotic duty.
Great. Thank you, Jen. We'll go ahead and get right into the questions so we can maximize our time here. So for question 1, we'll start with Jen first. The question is, what have you learned about the handling of the novel coronavirus outbreak, and how would you help prepare our state for similar pandemics in the future?
Yes. So coordination and communication are key to the success of any strategy the state undertakes to limit the spread of this pandemic or any other pandemic. DHEC must increase its transparency throughout the organization. So government officials like our governor and business owners, citizens, have the information they need to make informed decisions. It's also critical that we have an accurate inventory of supplies that we have and what we need in our state to diagnose and track any disease that is highly contagious. We must have an adequate supply of face masks, cleaning products, thermometers, pulsometers, all of those things necessary for individuals to be able to protect themselves. Medical professionals need adequate PPE. We need adequate hospital beds and supplies and complete testing and diagnostic kits to meet the state's demand to accurately diagnose and track any pandemic. Until we have an adequate and reliable supply of these items, we must stay at home to reduce the spread and strain. Contact tracing that is transparent and does not rely exclusively on digital input will also help us quarantine more efficiently. We want to work to reopen businesses as quickly as possible. Having adequate cleaning and safety supplies with clear mandatory guidelines for business owners, employees, and customers will allow us to reopen more businesses while still protecting the health of our community.
Thank you very much. Donna, same question to you. What have you learned about the handling of the novel coronavirus outbreak, and how would you help prepare our state for similar pandemics in the future?
It's a great question. What I would do first is, what should have been done actually, the governor should have coordinated better with the counties in Charleston County and the counties in South Carolina, because what happened was each county did their own separate quarantine, which made things difficult for the people to understand what's going on. In one county you do one thing, another county you do something else. So the main thing I think about is coordination. Some of the beaches are closed in some areas, some was open. Some of the parks were open, some stores were open. So the thing that should be done going forward should be the governor and DHEC should work together to have a better coordination so that we can have more supplies. That's one thing that was missing. And also every county reacted the same way opposed to some counties being closed and some counties not being closed. So the main concern I see was a coordination effort that needed to be forced, and it should be recognized throughout the counties. Because even right here in Mount Pleasant, we had the city of Charleston doing one thing, the town of Mount Pleasant doing something else. So the main issue, I think, should be coordination going forward. They should work together with the health officials, and the governor should work hand in hand and make sure things are coordinated properly throughout the counties in South Carolina.
Thank you, Donna. Okay, so this time Donna starts. So this question is for you. We are no strangers to sitting in traffic here in the Charleston area. As a state representative, what can you do to reduce congestion?
Well, the things I would do, I would suggest them doing is, some of the main things is public transportation. Increase public transportation throughout the counties. That way there'd be less cars on the road. That's one thing. And also affordable housing. If more people are able to live where they work at, there won't be much traffic on the road because you don't have to travel as much because you're living near where you work. Take police officers, some of them, they can't afford to live where they work in the district they represent. So which makes a big difference when you live in a community, you know the people better. So if you live there, you know the people better, you travel less, it'd be less confusion, less traffic on the highway, less pollution on the roads. And that's the main thing that I think should happen here. More public transportation, increase carpooling. It's got to be a better system we have right now. All the cars are about to travel from place to place. If we had a better transit system, I think it'd be easier, be less congestion. And that way, that's some of the things I would work for better public transportation, work for affordable housing. People who live in the community can be able to live where they work at. So those things are the main things that need to be done first and foremost, in my opinion.
Awesome. Okay, so Jen, the question goes to you. We are no strangers to sitting in traffic here in Charleston. What would you do as state representative to reduce congestion?
Great. So the James B. Edwards Bridge, Interstate 526, and Highway 41 are just a few of the examples of major routes serving our district that will require major investments soon. My priority is going to be to draft legislation that requires transparency, public input, stakeholder collaboration, and long-term planning goals by the Department of Transportation. For too long, these major decisions about our roads and bridges have been made in back rooms by a few powerful business interests. I will put public pressure on the Department of Transportation, the General Assembly, and the Governor's Office to create a sustainable strategy that works for all South Carolinians and protects our natural resources. We must also create a detailed strategy for South Carolina to utilize mass transit. Urban areas need extensive and timely routes to be successful. And then we need to connect major urban areas by bus rail transit or light rail transit in the case of longer distance like Charleston to Columbia. We can utilize water taxis to transport people around the Lowcountry, especially in major tourist destinations. It'll take a comprehensive plan to solve the traffic nightmare we have in Charleston, but we are up to the challenge.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we'll start with Jen on question number 3. South Carolina consistently ranks in the bottom when it comes to education in our nation. Despite increased attention to the issue and bipartisan support in many areas, it's likely that no bills will move forward this year. What do you see as the biggest area of opportunity to create improvement?
This is a great question. I think that education affects every single resident of South Carolina. Whether you have children or not, we all pay taxes. It's an expensive line item, and everyone depends on the students that come out of our schools for our next generations of doctors, pharmacists, nurses, electricians, repairmans. Across the board education reform is necessary in our state, but the most dysfunctional aspect of our system is how we fund it. It's confusing, inefficient, and not equitable. Laws after laws have been passed to address the problems of the one that came before it. The result is 7 different funding formulas, no accountability, and county school districts spending with abandon or scraping pennies for bare necessities. We need to repeal them all and start over. Funding should be collected and appropriated at the state level. An adequacy study can establish the necessary funds required, and each school will receive the funding it needs. It's time to fix the funding crisis, and then we can have reform.
Thank you very much. Donna, same question to you, and I'll repeat it. South Carolina consistently ranks in the bottom when it comes to education in our nation. Despite increased attention to the issue and bipartisan support in many areas, it's likely no bills will move forward this year. What do you see as the biggest area of opportunity to create improvement?
Well, I have to agree with Jen on one thing. Funding is essential. That's one of the main issues, I know that. But also, the funding problem comes in also creates by all these charter schools. It's created by charter schools. The funding comes from the public school, goes to the charter school. It's not equal education throughout the county. What happens is it all depends on where you live at. It depends on the education you receive. Because some areas, like in Mount Pleasant, the education system is different. You go right across the bridge of downtown the city of Charleston, and it's a totally different education system. The kids are not getting the same type of benefits that's offered in other areas. Students should be able to afford to have education across the board. We shouldn't have to get one class in one community, then you go to another community, and it's the same information is not offered there. Students should be afforded the same quality education no matter where they live at. And these charter schools, in my opinion, is taking a lot of money from the public schools and creating a sort of segregated school system. What is happening is the haves and the have-nots. And that's what's happening right now in a lot of these counties because of the charter school systems. And also they need to also add some other things to the school. They need to add some vocational programs to the school. All students are not going to want to attend a 4-year college or even a 2-year college. I remember when I was going to school, they had voc rehab, and kids, you come out of school with a trade. You either go right from high school into a trade system, start to work in carpentry, bricklaying, you name it. Kids came out of school with some sort of skill. So we need to go back to some of that old school thinking, teach the same curriculum across the board, as that's the main thing, will make kids learn more and also have more money not taken away to go into private charter schools and private schools altogether from the public school system.
Yeah.
Thank
Kelly?
you, Donna.
Yeah, I'm done.
Did you get a timer, by the way? So far, our legislators have supported measures. What's that? Okay.
No, go ahead.
So far, our legislators supported measures to support the environment with votes. It's difficult for companies to start oil production, exploration projects off the coast, and to allow local governments to keep approving and enforcing bans on plastic bags. Do you support these measures?
Is that me? Okay.
It's a Donna question.
Yes, I support definitely. Okay, you ready? I strongly support the ban on plastic bags, and I believe in things for helping the environment. That's just one step to helping the environment. We live in communities right now that still use a separate system. So we talk about the environment, let's also talk about that. We need to mention the fact that communities have a separate system that goes into the ocean, which also is pollutant. We need to work with communities to make sure these communities have safe running water, a safe public sewer system, so it will not also add to the already polluted position we have right now. I mean, drilling is one thing, but let's start with things we can stop right now, given the communities safe public water and public sewer system. And I've always been a proponent of plastic bags and recyclable stuff. I recycle all the time. So I believe in saving the environment for the future, and starting with little things is important. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
So I'll repeat the question for you, Jen. So far, our legislators have supported measures to support the environment with votes to make it difficult for companies to start oil exploration projects off our coast and allow local governments to keep approving and enforcing bans on plastic bags. Do you support these measures?
Absolutely. Communities need to be able to protect their environment. We also need to recognize in the state legislature that we have a responsibility to the entire state. Air blows from one community to the next. Water runoff from a business will flow through the backyards of their residential neighbors. A river in the upstate will spill into estuaries in the low country. The elements do not obey property lines, county borders, or house districts. Therefore, government protection is necessary to guarantee the property rights of all South Carolinians. Businesses cannot manufacture goods, develop property, or dispose of waste in any way that poisons our air, water, or soil. The cost of responsible environmental practices must be built into the cost of finished goods and property development. South Carolina should not provide lax environmental policy as an incentive to produce goods more cheaply so businesses will come to our state. The cost to our health and the cost to maintain our property just is not worth it.
Awesome. Thank you, Jen. So we'll go back to you, Jen, for the next question to start. And question number 5 is, how would you ensure that transparency and opportunities for citizen input are important in the 2021 redrawing of congressional, Senate, House, and local district lines?
Yes. So an independent, nonpartisan redistricting commission would ensure South Carolina House, Senate, and congressional districts are drawn in the best interest of citizens and not political incumbents. The legislature can pass substantive substantive reform measures in advance of the new district lines that will be in effect until 2031. Political candidates, elected officials, and lobbyists have a conflict of interest and should not serve on any redistricting commission. Those that do serve on the commission should not be eligible to run for an office affected by the district lines for 4 years. Ideal commission members would have a background in statistics and data analysis. Above all, members should be impartial. There is no room for partisan politics or special interest on the commission. All meetings of the commission should be recorded and available for public viewing. Listening sessions should be held in each county to learn the concerns of each community before the redistricting process begins. The goal of the new district lines should be for greater efficiency in government, and geographic communities should be prioritized. District 99 spans 2 counties, 4 municipalities, and 2 unincorporated areas. That is 4 mayors, 49 council members, plus their various staff and commission members that must work together to establish what works best for the district. It is the definition of inefficiency. The representative for District 99 was elected in 2000 and went unchallenged until he resigned his seat after being convicted of corruption charges 17 years later. That is because of our unfair redistricting. We deserve fair elections and fair districting. That is how we will get reform.
Great. Thank you very much. Donna, same question to you. I'll repeat it. How would you ensure that transparency and opportunities for citizen input are important in the 2021 redrawing of congressional, Senate, House, and local district lines?
Well, I believe that we need to develop an independent organization that will draw the lines for us and it should not be nobody in politics at all drawing the lines. It should be an independent company, draw the lines. We're making more conducive to the areas. It shouldn't be like in District 99. We shouldn't have a precinct, one precinct in Snowden. Then we go all the way across down 17, down all the way down 41 to pick up another precinct, and all the way down 17 to Park West for another precinct, then cross the river again to Hanahan and Daniel Island. So what happens is, what ends up in that case is, then the politicians pick their constituents. It should be an independent company that chooses and draws the line. That's why it's so important. People go out and complete the census, which African American community is the #1 underrepresented area in the country because we're not really counted. So it's better for us to complete the census, make sure we count it, and get an independent agency to draw the lines and make it more conducive to the area. We should have to go from one precinct and skip over 5 precincts to go to another precinct for a district. It's just unfeasible. So it needs to be somebody independent, minded to do it.
Great, thank you. Kelly, do we have time for one more before closing statements?
I think if they could do a 1 minute, yes. All right, so if you guys will keep this one brief, but as your state representative, what would be your number one legislative priority? And we will start with Donna because it's the rotation.
Okay. #1 priority would be to make sure there's more transparency in local government. Take out some of that good old boy system. People should not be able to get a position because of who they know in the legislature. So we should be a better system of selecting people for different positions.
Thank you.
More transparency.
All right, same question to you, Jen. As state representative, what would be your #1 legislative priority?
Education. The South Carolina General Assembly has taken up the tremendous task of overhauling the Education Accountability Act, but they're not going to be successful in passing reform this legislative session. I plan to make education reform one of my major priorities, and I will keep pressure on leadership to keep it on the legislative agenda. I will work with several education organizations to craft legislation that will support teachers and students in today's learning environment. We must fix the finances, and we must fix our education system for our teachers and students. It will benefit the entire state.
All right, time for closing statements. You each get 2 minutes, and we'll be starting with Jen. So let's go ahead. The floor is yours, Jen.
Thank you to the Charleston County Democrats and the East Cooper Democrats for hosting this amazing way for you to get to know the candidates. I also want to thank all the people watching. You are the elite. You are the folks that are educated voters that show up and know the issues and the people that you're voting for. And I want to thank you because that's huge. And there are very few people that do it. I also want to thank Donna. It's an honor to run with an amazing woman like her. I know that she is amazing at whatever she does, and it's been an honor to run with her, and thank you. I encourage everyone to check out the League of Women Voters Voter 411 guide, and also my website, jenforsc.com. We have lots of surveys that we've completed for different interest organizations, and we'll be posting those tonight. Thank you for considering me for your vote. If you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to call or email me. I am happy to discuss anything with anyone or host a Zoom conference with you and your neighbors. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. Okay, Donna, your turn.
Okay, well, I would like to thank the East Cooper Democrats for putting this on, and also for Charleston County Dems for working together and making sure we're able to have our regular monthly meetings. This Zoom stuff is really great. And I also want to emphasize early voting, early absentee voting in South Carolina. I'd like people, if you haven't done it yet, to go and get request your absentee ballot so you can vote, so you can stay healthy and safe during this pandemic right now. It is time for a change in Columbia, where your elected officials are committed to the people, not a political party. I want to be there, go there to do the job of the people, because I am one of the people that will be affected by whatever happens that goes on in Columbia. I don't just want the job, I want to be able to do the job. I want to thank you all for your time, if you're listening to me right now, and I would like your vote in the June 9th primary. And if you'd like more information about me, you can visit my website, DonnaBrownNewton.com. You can reach out to me on Twitter or Facebook at Donna for SC99. And it's a pleasure to be able to be here. And I'm excited because we actually have Democrats running. I never thought to believe we have a primary for a Democrat for District 99. So I'm excited for that. And I'd like to appreciate my opponent, Ms. Jen Gibson, and thank you very much. And check me out, DonnaBrownNewton.com.
Thanks, Donna, and thanks, Jen. Appreciate you both being on and giving everybody a chance to get to know you a little more.
Yes, thank you both for joining. Thanks, Counter. Thanks, everyone who's joined us for the Zoom. Just as a reminder, for Democrats, we'll have our monthly meeting on Tuesday, the 20th. It will be by Zoom, this format. And as always, our candidates are invited to join us. All of our candidates will be invited that evening. So we look forward to seeing you then.